I want you to watch this video as if it's you talking to yourself or you are listening to your inner monologue. Solipsism, my final awakening, the end of my misery and pain, the end of everything. What if I've only been suffering because I was failing to realize something that was obvious? Because I was so invested in what is happening in this world. So I failed to realize something that I should have realized a long time ago. And if I realized it, I would have been free. What if I failed to realize that this world was not real? What if I failed to realize that this world was not real? I suffer in my dream because I do not realize that my dreams are not real. So if I'm being chased by dogs in my dream, I become scared. Why? Because I'm failing to realize that the world that I'm in is not real. And that's the mistake that I have always been making. No one told me that this world was real. No one. I just told myself that it was real. But do I even understand what real even mean? Doesn't this world seem too perfect to be real? Don't I experience things that seem way too convenient to be real? Synchronicities that seem way too convenient. Ha! Why am I meeting this person today? Out of all the days that I could have met them, I'm meeting them today. Why today? Why now? Why at this hour? Hmm. Why do I dream? So my brain is able to construct a world from scratch as I experience it. How? How does it do that? Why is it not able to do that when I'm awake? No, this is a serious question. Why can't I dream now? Wouldn't it be fun? I'm awake and I'll be like, you know what? Like, I can't really focus on what's going on in this world right now. I'm just gonna take a break. You know what I'm saying? Let me go to my own world, and I start to dream, and yeah, I'm rich, in my dream. If I believe that being rich is gonna make me happy, why can't I do that? Why can't I make myself imagine things the way I imagine them in my dreams when I'm awake? Why? Why do I only dream when I'm sleeping? And why am I unable to control my dreams? And why is it that when I'm dreaming, I think that my dreams are real? Isn't that the problem? Isn't this the mistake that I've been making my whole life? I'm thinking this is real, even though it isn't. And I already have proof that I can be in a world that I think is 100% real, that isn't real. In fact, the only other reality that I've experienced wasn't real. It's the reality that I experienced in my dreams. I call it reality because it seems real, but it isn't. What if I'm suffering because I'm taking this seriously? And the only reason why I'm taking this seriously is because I think it is real. What if nothing is real? What if I'm what's real? What if I'm the only thing that's real? In my dreams, I'm actually the only thing that's real. The one who's experiencing the dream is the only one who's real. Everything that I see in my dream might not be real, but the dreamer is real. Right? That's why the dreamer dreams. Otherwise, there would be no dream if there was no dreamer. So the dreamer is the only one that's real. What if I'm the dreamer? But I'm making this same mistake that I've always made in my dreams. And if I say to everyone that I think I'm the only thing that's real, will I have went too far? Will that mean that I'm crazy? Does my logic not make sense? How do I know that I'm not dreaming? You can tell me that I was born. Yeah. I've had dreams where I was born. In fact, in my dreams, I believe I was born. I believe the stories that everyone is telling me. In my dreams, they do tell me things that I don't know. That does happen. In my dreams, people do make great music. In my dreams, I do compete with people who tend to perform better than me. I had a dream where I was battling this other rapper. He murdered me. He had bars. In my dreams, I do listen to people speaking languages that I don't understand, solving math problems that I can't solve. In my dreams, there are people who can perform magic. See, everything that happens in my dreams happens here. There's nothing that can happen here that cannot happen in my dreams. So isn't it obvious that I'm dreaming? And I'm continuing to make the mistake that I'm not dreaming. And that is the real problem. And that has always been the real problem. Is that I think this is real. So when things happen, because I think everything is real, they affect me as if they are real. We've watched movies like Saw. The villain was killing people in the most horrible way you could think of. But we were able to continue to watch the whole movie without feeling bad for the characters. We just enjoyed the movie. Why? Because we knew that it wasn't real. We knew that they were acting. We watch professional wrestling. The performers sometimes say things that are racist, but no one complains. Why? Because we know they're acting. We know it's not real. They do say things that are offensive. We have seen people say the most horrible. Vince used to say the most horrible things. But the thing is, we all know that it's not real. We all know they're acting. So, we are not offended. What if this is not real and I'm only offended because, like, when something happened, I'm only offended because I think it's real? You see? I think there's a background story. I think I'm dealing with people who are conscious, who have their own minds, who have their own stories, and who should be as conscious as I am. So they shouldn't say things that offend me. They shouldn't be ignorant. They shouldn't believe in some gods that I know don't exist. They must all be like me. What if they're not real? And I'm giving my energy and my authority to things that are not even real. Imagine if you had schizophrenia and there was this person that was talking to you that was not real, that you were listening to all the time. If they tell you that you're not good enough, you'd listen to them. If they tell you that you will never ever be able to free yourself, you listen to them. They're your best friend. They're always there. They never leave. You're listening to them. Even if they have messed up opinions, you listen to them. You could have an opinion that's better than the opinion that they have, but you're listening to them. But the thing is, they're not real. What if that's what you've been doing? What about pain? If this is not real, why do I feel pain? I feel pain so that I'll think this is real. Maybe if I didn't feel pain, I would think that this is not real. Maybe I'm supposed to think that this is real. But what if I'm tired? What if I don't want to feel? What if I don't want to think this is real? What if I want to awaken? What if I'm tired of the dream that I'm having? What if I feel that the dream that I'm having is not what I wanted to have? It's not the kind of dream that I wanted to have. Maybe pain is there to test my resilience. Maybe pain is there to distract me. So there must be pain. I mean, I've felt pain in my dreams. Yes, I felt pain in my dreams. Yes, I have felt someone touch me in my dreams. I've tasted nice food in my dreams. I've had sex in my dreams. Everything that I can feel here, I felt in my dreams. So pain being real doesn't mean that this is real. The only thing that makes pain real is the dream itself fighting to convince me that this is real. So not even pain is real, but because pain is uncomfortable and I don't want to feel it, then it feels real. Because I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying to you? You see, pain is hard to avoid, not because it's real, but because you hate it. You don't want to feel pain. The same way that if you were with a person that you don't want to be with, let's say now here in my room, I had a visitor and I didn't want this person to be here, I would feel their presence all the damn time. Why? I don't want them to be here. They gotta leave. They're overstaying their welcome. But if I'm with a person that I want to be with, sometimes like them being here does not even, like sometimes I can even forget they're here. It's like I'm very comfortable with this person that, they can be here and it feels like they're not here. You get what I'm saying? I am the dreamer of this reality. And I have to believe that because that's what really makes sense to me, no matter how crazy it seems. Why do I expect the truth to be something that's considered to be normal or that will make people think that I'm normal? Like the truth is something obvious. The truth is that there was some God that created me, and this is the reason why I exist. What if the truth isn't normal? What if to truly believe the truth, I needed to be insane? Because to believe that I'm the only conscious being in the universe is considered insanity. If I was in a mental hospital and I told the doctors that I believe that I'm the only conscious being in the universe, they're never letting me go. Imagine. I'm in a mental hospital. Asked me, what do you believe is going on? And I said, look, I think I'm the only one who's here. Even in my sleeping dreams, the world locked me inside what? Even though I'm right. This reminds me of a scene from my favorite TV show, Atlanta. The last episode from my favorite TV series, Atlanta, the last episode, it was all a dream. My favorite character was struggling to differentiate his dreams from what he calls reality. He went to have a sensory deprivation session. Woke up inside a tank. After waking up like twice, thinking that he was waking up, but he was still dreaming. And he woke up for like the third time. He's like, hey, this is a dream. I'm still dreaming. He found these two old ladies sitting in the kitchen after having their sessions. They were drinking coffee. They sounded weird when they're talking to him. They kept on ending every sentence with the word coffee. Yeah, I'm going. Oh, tea. Actually, yeah, tea, not coffee. They were having tea. Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna go and make tea in the tea room. And he kept on saying, Why you guys? What do you guys keep on saying? Tea room, tea room. Oh, because it's a tea room. That was their response. Because it's a tea room, and they started laughing, and they weren't stopping, and the guy was like, oh, it means I'm still dreaming because this is weird. So he walked up to them and he said, wake up. And the guy who owns the place kicked him out. He just kicked him out. And he said, yo, man, I thought it was a dream. That's it was funny. Turns out he was still dreaming. But even though he realized that he was dreaming, he still got kicked out and he still was treated like he was insane. So, of course, the truth will make you seem like you're insane. But what if you have to take that leap of faith? I'm not saying you should wake up. I'm saying, what if you can become lucid? So lucid that you realize that nothing is real. But you don't just realize that on this level of experience. You realize that on every level of here's what I mean. If you watch the movie Inception, they had a dream within a dream within a dream. Imagine if on every level they were totally aware. Like the guy that they were trying to manipulate, that guy who didn't know he was dreaming. Imagine if he was aware on every level that it was a dream. And he was aware of what they were trying to do. Because here's the problem. You can be a solipsist. You can believe that you're the only conscious being in the universe. But only on a surface level. You find that almost everything about you doesn't believe that this is not real. Right? So it's only on the surface level that you're like, yeah, like on a philosophical level, like, yeah, I'm the only one who's real here. But it's like your true self is still slipping, still. So it's only your projection that realizes that it's dreaming, but the dreamer doesn't realize that he's dreaming. Damn, this is deep, bro. So the dreamer doesn't realize that it's dreaming, but the dream character realizes that it's a dream. And I remember I told you about this other weird dream that I've had, where I was in a beach, telling the dream characters that I'm in a dream. They'll tell me that you're not in a dream, you're crazy. Of course, that's what they would say. I knew it was a dream, but the dreamer didn't know it was a dream. So what do I even mean? The projection, or the one that was being dreamt, knew that it was a dream. But the dreamer didn't know it was a dream. You see? So I only knew I was dreaming, but on the surface level. And that's not liberation. What if I need to take it a step further? What if I need to go back? I've been telling you about going back. Going back, forgetting everything. And experience what it's like to be me. To be the dreamer. And then I come back, or I go back to the dream, but now I know I'm dreaming. Now the dreamer is fully aware that he's dreaming. What will happen? Isn't that where the magic happens? Because your projections will torture you in your own dreams. We know that. You see, you can have a dream where your projections are torturing you. You find that you are the only one in the dream who's treated like nonsense. Everyone in your dream is treated well. You are the only one who's suffering in your dreams. Of course, you're the only one who's suffering in your dreams. But here's the thing. You are the only one who's having a bad... Listen, your projection is the only one that's having a bad experience. Oh. Everything is your projection. But what the projection that you think is you is the only one who's suffering. So the dreamer is having a nightmare and is not enjoying the dream. But not really because the dream is bad, but because he thinks the dream is real. And that's the problem. problem is that you think this is real. The problem is I think this is real. The problem is that I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm capable of. I'm lost inside my own dream and I don't know how to wake up. So everything that happens affects me deeply because I'm lost. I don't know what consciousness is. I don't know how to dream what I want to dream. So this became a prison. I'm lost inside my own maze. I forgot how I created this maze. I've created this maze a long time ago. Oh, I've created a maze within a maze within a maze within a maze. So I forgot how to get out. I forgot that I created the maze. So now I'm stuck. I'm trapped. And there are things that I'm dealing with inside this maze. And I think these things are real. I think these things are put here in the maze by someone else. But only if I try to remember that I created this maze. Only if I try to remember that I created this maze. Maybe it's only then that I'll actually be able to wake up. Reality is a mind game. It's all that it's ever been. There is no background story. But why do I keep on focusing on the background story? What am I trying to learn from focusing on the background story that isn't there? That only starts to exist because I focus on it. So it isn't there. There's no background story. When I meet a person and then that person doesn't even talk to me, I just see them and then I stop looking at them. That's it. They don't have a background story. They're never going to continue to exist until I somehow see them again. Until I project. Like I work more like a projector, right? You see, if I'm, the way that a projector works, what you see on the wall only exists because of the projector. When you switch off the projector, it doesn't continue to exist. But imagine if the projector was conscious and it didn't know that what it was seeing was its projection. It's deep. It didn't know that whatever it was seeing was coming from it. Of course, it will think that the external world exists without realizing that it was all its projection. So the people that you meet and you talk to don't have a background story. I remember there's this video that I watched on Solipsism on TikTok. Actually, like it was about Solipsism. So this guy is on the plane and he's recording what he's seeing. He's seeing small houses, and he said, "I refuse to believe that, there are people inside each and every house that I'm seeing here, and they have their own stories. They have their own, they have their own perspectives. They have their own background stories. Like I refuse to believe that. Like it just doesn't seem real." What if you refuse to believe that people have their own background stories? What if that is awakening? It's realizing that no one has their own background story. You are the only one who has a background story, basically, because you're the only one who's real. But whatever you view as your background story is just memory because nothing really happened. So everything that you are projecting comes from memory. So if you meet an old friend and they seem older than, last time you saw them, it's memory, consciousness. Oh, because consciousness also created time, it also has to make sure that the person that you meet that you have not seen in years, they seem a bit older. So the whole dream is gonna make sense. Otherwise, you'll be confused. Like, whoa, you look like the way that you look when we were in high school, dude. Something is crazy. This reminds me of this movie that I've watched. Actually, I didn't watch the actual movie. I watched the recap. Like, I don't really watch movies. So it's about this guy who was immortal. He live. He like he's seen Jesus get crucified. Actually, he's that old. So he can't live in the same place for more than 10 years because people would notice that dude doesn't change. So he'll live in a place for like maybe like 9 years and be like, I'm leaving, go to another place because he knew that people would realize that something is wrong. So of course, when you project the people that you have not seen in a long time, they have to seem different. Wouldn't that explain why you don't see a person when they are growing? You see, there could be a person that you wake up next to every day. This person is getting old. Listen, you're seeing this person every single day. You've seen this person every day for 10 years, for 20 years, but you don't notice a change in them. Like they look the same way that they looked, but you leave them for a year and you meet them again and they look different. Wouldn't that explain it? Of course, there are a lot of things that are questionable that you're not questioning. Huh? I like it when I watch videos on TikTok of people trying to prove that this is a simulation. Like, I've never seen my neighbors bringing food. It's like, do they even eat? Because they're supposed to be eating. I've never seen a person, I've never seen my neighbor going to work, or I've never seen this and that. I went to the street and there was no one, and then all of a sudden there were people. Do people who are working in shops make money? Like, how much money do they make? How much? Because I've been standing here for a while and I've never seen a person entering that shop. And remember, it's a mall, so they have to pay rent, and they also have employees there. How do they even make money? Because no one seems to be buying anything. This is odd. Listen, there are a lot of things that are questionable that we're not questioning because we're assuming that this is real, and that's the problem. Watch this video as if it's you listening to your inner monologue. Why do you even have an inner monologue? I know they told you that. Some people don't have an internal monologue. But that seems right to you. Because everyone should have an internal monologue if they were real. Your life will be so much different if you didn't view reality as something solid. Because here's what that would mean. It will mean that even the past can be changed. The past, the future, and the present all exist simultaneously. But at the same time, they don't exist, and that's why they can't be changed because it's all in consciousness, really. You can edit your memories. So what if I can edit my past? What if I'm torturing myself because of the stories that I'm telling myself, but nothing is actually real? So I'm telling myself that, other people are stupid if they believe something that doesn't make sense. But no matter what I believe doesn't make sense except that nothing is real, right? Because it's not real. There's nothing that I believe if I think is real that is actually real, right? The final truth is that nothing is real. So I'll criticize someone for believing in a tree. And I say, believe in evolution. Evolution makes sense. But even evolution doesn't make sense because nothing is real. So there's no difference between me and a person who's worshiping a tree because nothing is real. So even if I think my perspective about reality is superior because it makes more sense, it still doesn't, because as long as I believe it's real, it's not superior. I can live my life as if nobody else is real. Oh, yeah, I will be called a narcissist. But here's the thing, I have never met a person who has done something very horrible to someone and they said, I thought they were not real. Never. The people who do horrible things to others are those who think they're real. Because if you think they're not real, why do you even care? You don't care. You don't even think about revenge. You don't even think about hating what cannot be hurt because it's not real. So if you hurt someone intentionally, you want them to feel pain, but if they're not real, they won't even feel pain. You see? So what you will do is take everything as part of yourself. You'll be like, you know what, this is nonsense. I don't like it, but it's a part of me. I don't know how I created this thing, but it's still a part of me, and it says a lot about me. It says a lot about my level of consciousness. So really, I must not hate. I must not release negative energy trying to create a background story that isn't even there, that isn't even real. I think I must record this video while I'm on my way to the gym. Got my wallet. What's needed? My gloves. Tell me why. What can I do if I can feel? Water. Solipsism is very, very interesting. I like the scene in the Matrix where Morpheus asked Neo to define real. And I don't know if I've ever heard anyone define real in a way that was like really satisfying. Like, yo, that really makes sense. Like, you're onto something. Why can't we even define something as simple as reality if we're experiencing it every day? I like the colors. Like, this phone has really good camera quality. I also like how it captures my voice. So yeah, man, what if the only way that I can set myself free is by realizing the final truth, which is that I am actually the only one here. But the problem is that I'm so attached to this world being real that I fail to see that it isn't. It's more like if you are in a relationship with someone, maybe that person, you discover that person was lying to you, that person was manipulating you, maybe they steal your money and they run away with your money. There'll still be a part of you that will think that it's all a joke, it's not real. Like, that person will never do that to you. Like, it's just not true. Like, it will take time for you to realize that, oh, but that person wasn't real all along. I just wasn't. I wanted this person to be real so bad that I didn't believe that they were not real, even though all the signs were there. So it's the same with reality. You see, it isn't real, but I want it to be real. And maybe my brain doesn't want it to be real, right? But maybe my heart does want it to be real. Like, I'm so emotionally invested in this being real. So, no matter how hard I try to realize that it isn't, my emotions fight back. These emotions that I'm not even like really conscious of, these feelings that I'm not even conscious of, they're fighting back to make me feel like this is real. And that is why, even when you're dreaming, when you see something scary, you become scared, you see? But it's not real, it doesn't exist. But you become scared. Why do you become scared if it's not real? It's because of your feelings, right? You made it real with your feelings, basically. So you're experiencing it as if it's real because you've already been programming yourself to feel like it is. The solipsism will be much easier for a child to realize. See, if I was a child, if I was like 5 and I had to listen to myself talking like this, I will actually be able to believe that nothing is real and my life will have been totally different. But because I'm so emotionally invested in this being real, then it's very, very difficult for me to be like, nah, actually, I was lying to myself all along. Right? It's gonna be very difficult for me to realize that I was lying to myself all along. But why did I lie to myself? I lied to myself because I didn't know that I can experience something that comes from me as if it's external. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So my first thought was, oh, it seems that, I'm living in a world that is actually outside of me. It's the same reason why when I'm dreaming, I don't realize that I'm dreaming is I don't know that. I don't fully know that I can create a world subconsciously without even knowing how I'm doing that. And that's what sucks, is that I don't really know how I'm creating this. Because if I knew, I would have created something better for myself. Because obviously I can tell there's no meaning. I can tell this is not even though the trees are beautiful, the sky is beautiful, the grass is beautiful, some of the buildings are beautiful, but the experiences ain't beautiful. I'm in a world full of hatred. I'm in a world where people are killing each other. I'm in a world where animals have to kill other animals for survival. This is the kind of world that I found myself in. I found myself in a world where there's competition. People are competing. So of course, this doesn't feel good. Of course, this doesn't feel right. So yes, I would have liked to know how how to kind of like change what is inside. Because if everything is my projection, it will mean that what's being projected is what's inside. So to experience what I prefer, I must change what is happening inside. The same way that if I want to watch a different movie and I'm using a projector, then I must change the movie. Yeah, something, but it's not life. It's not life. So yeah, I'm using, I'm playing a different movie. So what's being projected is a different movie. So if I'm watching John Wick and I'm tired of watching John Wick, then I can play a different video. And that's what will be projected. But how do I do that? Can I be watching John Wick and I just try to think of a different movie and now I'm watching a different movie? It seems like it's not that simple. People be talking about here, it's about what you think. If you focus on negative things, you're going to experience negative things. Look, I know people who focus only on positive things will be experiencing negative things all the time. I have focused on negative things and I've experienced positive things in situations where I was focusing on the negative things, where I was expecting the worst, but the best happened. In some situations, could be something that had to do with school. I'll be thinking, there's no way I'm gonna make it. It could be something that had to do with work. I'll show you guys that I have a criminal record. I used to be paranoid every day, waking up, even having nightmares. Because when you're working a job where you are not supposed to have a criminal record, one day they can catch you. But are you a criminal? Even though I'm not even like criminal like that. But yeah, I'll be thinking about that every day, having nightmares about it. Never got caught. They never came and said, like we wanna check your background and see, can bring a police clearance certificate. Let's see. It's never happened. Every time when I'm working at night, I'll be thinking, someone can just pull up with the knife or with a gun or something. It's something that, okay, it only happened like maybe once, twice, but there are people who don't even think about these things, and these things happen to them all the time, and they actually get robbed. When it happened to me, I didn't get robbed. Just pushed the guy, ran away. So maybe the solution isn't that simple when it comes to creating the reality that we desire. Maybe the answer isn't that simple. I need to not point to the sun. When it's like this is good. It's like this is good. So maybe the first step is realizing that I am the only one here. Even though it's something that's very hard to believe. But there has to be something that I believe. And of course, there is deception in this realm. So of course, reality cannot be what we are told it is, or that what seems normal. It cannot be reality. Reality has to be something that if you figure out what it is, you'll be considered crazy. And what's crazier than solipsism? What's crazier than thinking you're the only one here? What's crazier than thinking that your friends ain't real, your parents ain't real, your ex is not real, the guy that you fought with last night is not real? What's crazier than that? What's crazier than thinking we're still dreaming? We've never stopped dreaming. We've always been dreaming. I mean, how would the real world be? Will the real world be a world that's confusing? So I'm confused and I'm in the real world. Or in the real world, I will know everything. I'll be given the answers. Think about it. How can this be the real world if you don't even understand it? Dreams can't be understood. They don't make sense. They were never meant to make sense. It's just about you experiencing something that you feel is real that isn't, but it's never going to make sense. There will just be things that will happen that will seem to them convenient. So because they're to them convenient, you don't realize that you're dreaming. And the crazy thing is that if you somehow realize that you're dreaming, the dream starts collapsing. You see, I keep on telling you guys that whenever I start to realize that I'm dreaming, the dream characters become hostile. So let's say I'm dreaming that I'm with a friend in a room and we're having a conversation, and I start to realize that I'm dreaming. My friend is going to turn into a monster, like an actual monster. My friend is going to turn into a monster. and he's gonna go after me. It's like, and this is scary, it's like if you realize, in a movie, let's say the real villain wasn't revealing himself, he was acting like he was the good guy all along. But once the main character figures out that the real villain is that guy, now he becomes violent. So it's like the dream characters, and this is crazy, guys. This is actually more like a revelation. And this reminds me of the TV series that I told you about. It's called The Good Place. So this lady, she was told that she was in heaven. Her and had these three people, they were strange, they didn't know each other. They were put in hell, and it was only them that were real. The other ones were just demons, actually. So this lady realized that no, this is not a good place, because since we got here, we kept on, arguing and suffering because things weren't working out. So once they realized that those beings turn into demons. So it's the same thing. It's like when the dream starts collapsing, then the beings that you interact with in your dreams, they turn into demons. Like, that's crazy. What if they are? What if that's what you're projecting? Is just like what is actually happening is that there's a lot of work that you need to do internally to turn the dream characters into what you want to turn them into. Right now you're creating demons, and they reveal themselves when the dream is collapsing. So you need to figure out how to do that, and it's not going to be an easy thing to do because you don't know how to do it. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you need to go back. The same way that if you are watching a movie using a projector, the projector cannot change the movie itself. It's you who has to change the movie. So you need to go back, and then you put a different movie. That's the movie that's going to be projected than this hellish experiences, the experience that you're having, that you don't want to have. Doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't you say solipsism is what's been missing in your life? It's you refusing to believe that this world is not real. So you believing that it's real means that you're going to be affected as if it's real, as if the things that are happening are real. But if you realize that it isn't, then things that will be happening will not affect you like they're real. You see? Solipsism, my final awakening, the end of my misery and pain. Thank you for watching until the end. Tell me what you think about the video in the comment. Like the video, share the video. Tell me if you watched the video until the end. This was a very interesting topic. I've made videos on solipsism so many times before, but this has to be up there with one of the best, with some of the best, maybe the best. Thank you all, guys.